We have a Java class that other than these annotations, it's a pure Java class, right? You can instantiate this class just fine, right? But you have to be careful, right? These objects, certainly you can instantiate them yourself, but oftentimes these objects are going to be instantiated by the infrastructure, right? The infrastructure is going to go out to the database and look at all these records in the database, and is going to try to instantiate an array for you of these objects. You know, pretty much what we did in the data access object last week, right? We encapsulated all our CRUD operations in a single class, yes? And we put you know, the create, the update, the delete, the insert, right? All those we put them inside a single class, didn't we? Right? And then inside of this class, we provided a really nice API that created a high-level API that allowed us to interact with the database with an API. You say create module, and you could pass an object called create module. Or you can say, well, find me all the modules. It would iterate over the rows and would populate an array list of modules, and then it would spit them out. Yes, right? Meaning, people that were using this API were wholly unaware that you were going out to a database to fetch all this, right? And that's the point, right? All these APIs should make it simple for you, so that you don't have to know that you're using MySQL or using whatever. You could always change that, and the rest of the application, it would be unaware, would be agnostic of your data access layer. Make sense? So we want to be able to do the same thing here. Now, typically what we would do is the same thing. We would create kind of like a data access object to interact with this in the database, right? We would create a function, a class, maybe call it a module DAO, right? And in that module DAO, we would have create module, find all modules, find module by ID, you know, update a module, delete a module, all those kinds of things. Yes. Well, those operations are so common, right? They're so common that you know, one of the things that you'll realize you know, this week when you're writing your DAOs, you were writing several DAOs, right? And you're going to find that a pattern emerges, right? That all DAOs are going to start to look, you know, very similar to each other, right? Other than the internal actual inserts, right, and sequels, they all look the same, right? They you know, when you create something, it'll be insert into whatever table, right? And you'll have the list of the variables, of the fields, and then the values, right? Ideally, we would be able to, you know, generalize that and to have a kind of like a generic DAO, right? That if we could pass in the name of the table, and we could pass in the name of the fields, right? It would generate the DAO for us. I mean, that's what software engineers do, right? They you know, once we find a pattern, we say, oh, well, this is boring, right? Can't we generalize this, right? And that's exactly what JPA does. JPA gives us an API that allows us to generalize these DAOs, right? And gives us a generic DAO. It gives us a generic DAO so that we don't have to write these over and over. And the way we configure it is that we give it this class as an argument. Say, build for me a DAO, you know, a CRUD, you know, a class that already implements all the CRUD operations for that class. I don't want to have to write it myself. Yes, obviously there's going to be some limitations because it's going to be very generic. Sometimes we want to do something very specific. But let's explore some of the generic things that we can do. All right, let's do that.